Welcome to Real Talk with Reginald D. I'm your host, Reginald D. On today's episode, I have an amazing young man. His name is Sam Mitchell. Sam is the creator and the host of Autism Rocks and Rolls podcast, and is also a motivational speaker and the executive director of his nonprofit, Autism Rocks and Rolls Corporation. Sam has autism and was diagnosed at the age of 4, and despite facing trials and tribulations growing up, Sam has become a successful entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and podcast host. Sam's life has been a journey of resilience and determination. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks, Reginald. I'm glad to be here, bub.
All right, glad to have you on. Now, I have people from all over the world and different countries that listen to the show. So far, anyone that doesn't know what autism or autism spectrum disorder is, it's a developmental disorder with symptoms that appear within the first 3 years of life, and it appears in different forms and levels of severity. Each individual with autism experiences their own unique strengths, symptoms, and challenges. 1 in 36 children in the United States has been identified with autism spectrum disorder in 2024. So, Sam, tell us a little bit about Sam Mitchell.
Well, Sam Mitchell was diagnosed with autism at 4, and he runs a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. It's a podcast about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. Through the podcast, it's grown so much, I developed sponsors, a nonprofit with a board of 8 people, events in Indiana is where I'm from. We're having our gala next Sunday, and speaking engagements. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando 3 times, Canada twice, Stewart, Florida, and Washington, D.C.
Wow. Wow, man, this thing has gotten you very busy. You've been a busy man.
Trying to keep myself that way.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, man, because everything you're doing it being positive with it and having, positive things going on in your life to impact other people's lives. That's really amazing. How did you get started in podcast?
I always enjoy myself doing it.
Right. So, Sam, how did you get started in podcast?
It started, I joined my high school's media club, and that's where I learned about it. I fell in love with it ever since, and that's when it just clicked, and I had to know that's what I wanted to do. That's when I also began my own podcast, which was Autism Rocks and Rolls. It was born in October 2019 while I was a junior in high school.
A junior in high school, man, that's young, but you had a dream, though, at the end of the day, and you went for it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Can you share with us some inspirations behind starting the Autism Rocks and Rolls podcast and the mission of your podcast?
Well, some inspirations were that I got to share some stories that you had to be there to understand, or people want to understand it because it just didn't make sense. But I guess I can learn through my podcast. I'm a very good explainer, so I've explained situations that you had to be there and you can actually picture in your mind. Or if you can't picture it, people have always asked me about it.
Exactly. So how does it feel? Because it has to feel rewarding, but how does it feel to be a voice for those with autism spectrum disorder?
Well, for me, at least, it feels relief. It feels relief. I can tell these stories. I did a whole storytelling on one of my episodes about bullying, and I basically explained some of my stories about when I went through bullying. And I didn't get to tell anyone those stories because you had to be there. Or if I told you, you'd be like, what? It would be a confusing tale.
Right. So you were bullied. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, let's see. Once upon a time, I got jabbed in the back with pencils for no apparent reason. I wasn't doing anything to make the students mad. All I literally doing was sitting there in the convocation gym trying to listen to the speaker. And I guess people decided to be mean because I guess they wanted to jab me in the back with pencils. And I couldn't move at all because the teacher told us you cannot move. And I get the reason why. They want us to pay attention to the assembly, the speaker. You're not chatting with your friends. Totally get it. But how am I supposed to pay attention if you're getting literal needles pinned on you every 5 seconds?
Man, that's awful. That is very awful. So that was one of your challenges, I guess, that going through school is that people was bullying you and things like that, or just being just being stupid, I'll call it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, luckily I had to leave early because I had a doctor's appointment. But what I learned afterwards, my mother was a English teacher, and I don't know how she got there somehow. Somehow she had to go to the gym, and apparently she sat right between the two boys. And when the assembly was over, she basically ripped them a new one.
Right. Right. So, Sam, how did your podcast help change your perceptions and promote acceptance for yourself?
Well, I mean, it showed that I could actually do something. A, B, it shows that despite all these flaws and these little quirks I have, people might still actually like me. I mean, when I found podcasting, I was also going through some personal growth because at the end of the day, the podcasting and my decision was at the end of the day, I'm not going to care what others think of me because if I do, I'm not going to make it. I was a people pleaser for 15 years, completely failed. So I had to do stuff for myself, and I still do sometimes. Now, do I still take suggestions or advice? It's hard to do, but if it makes sense, I will take it. But if it still doesn't, I'm saying thanks for your help. You may leave now. I'm doing it my own way.
And your own way is the best way. I'll tell anybody. You have everybody has some type of gift inside of them and some direction that they've gotten. Um, and the only way you're gonna be able to do it is that you got to do it your way. Like you say, it's okay for people to give you some advice, and if it makes sense, go with it. But when you are a people pleaser, like you said, it will basically hold you back because everybody doesn't have good intentions for you.
No, no, you're correct on that. I've learned that the hard way. I was manipulated more than I was kept. 15 years of manipulation, and I would say 6 or 7 years of being kept. So I'm still healing from that. That's why I still have major and severe even trust issues.
Right, right, exactly. And that's understandable. Your podcast, Autism Rocks and Rolls, what motivated you to focus specifically on autism and related topics?
Well, the fact I was diagnosed with autism, A, but B, at the time it was growing. You say yourself in 2024 it's 1 in 36. I bet here in 3 years it's going to be 1 in 26. Then it'll be, oh my gosh, a lot of people now are on the spectrum. Now it's prevalent. That's the thing that's going around now is we're aware of it, but we're not accepting of it. Now I'll give props when it's due. We used to be institutionalized for being on the autism spectrum. Now you see us walking on the street. That is a good step, but there's still ridiculeness. When I'm searching for a job, I have to check the box autism. And I don't mind checking the box, but I should have to be scared that the boss would think, oh, he has autism. I'm throwing his resume out the door.
Wow, I didn't know that. They actually have a box to check at some places that if you apply for a job that you have autism or not.
Yeah, like if it says list disabilities or if you have any of these disabilities, please check the box that apply. Some's like MS. One is autism, I know for certain. One is, let me see what else. ADHD. One is OCD. I think Tourette's is on there too.
Wow, I learned something. I learned something today. So, how do you ensure that the voices and experience of an individual with autism are authentically represented in your podcast?
Well, I make sure because they're my stories and it's someone from autism. A doctor can tell you the facts, but they can't tell you why I do this, what goes in my mind on why I am doing this behavior. And there are people on the spectrum who listen to the podcast, my podcast, and say, yep, I've been there, buddy, or he actually gets it. This is why I do it. I've been having a hard time explaining why, but here's why I do this, mom.
Yeah, you're definitely touching lives with your podcast and the awareness that you're bringing to it. It's very amazing. I'm very impressed. So let's talk about guests on your podcast. Who was one of your favorite guests on your podcast?
Well, I mean, I had a lot of favorites, but personal was Mick Foley, my favorite wrestler since I was a young boy. So what an honor to do him. I've always had the privilege of having Brad Loakley. He saved me pretty much of that rough 15 year of my life when I was 15. School sucked, but when I could school sucked, but when I came home, I watched World's Dumbest, and he was the funniest one on there. So I actually sent him a message to do an interview with me because of just his acceptance as a human being, and he did. So a little full circle moment there. But from a professional standpoint, I enjoyed my interview with Temple Grandin just because of her knowledge and the way she explained autism and her perception, what she's done for the cattle industry, what she's had to do for herself.
Yeah, I saw where you interviewed Mick Foley. I'm a big fan of Mick Foley. Since he was on wrestling, man, I just enjoy watching Mick Foley.
Yeah, very humble man. I'll tell you that much through personal experience. I had nothing to say but positive things to Mick. I know when you meet celebrities, it might be different from each person, but with him, from my personal standpoint, thumbs up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What has been the most rewarding aspect of hosting the Autism Rocks and Rolls podcast so far?
The most rewarding aspect of this podcast to me is, I would say, just the people I get to meet. I mean, I wouldn't guess I had people that I saw on television coming onto my computer screen. Kane, I watched as a kid. Was I scared of him and ran to the bathroom? Yes, I'll admit that. But did I see him on television? Yes. Did I ever think in a million years Kane would come onto my computer screen? No. Did I ever think that when I watch America's Got Talent, oh, I get this person on my computer screen? No. Hell, if you'd have asked me, Sam, in 5 years, you're going to get one of these AGT contestants on your show. Huh. Good luck with that. I highly doubt that. And I'm saying because AGT is also one of my favorite shows.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. And you shaking and moving, but I really feel like it's going the way it's going because it's your purpose in life, and you're destined for something like this. And you are a voice that's been sent for people with autism.
Yeah. Well,
How
part
do
of it's also that I don't like to sit around and do nothing. I'm always the type of person who likes to try. I'm always the person who's a doer, not a dreamer. Dreamers might say, oh, I wish I could get Luke Bryan to attend my show. Or I wish I could ask, hey, Luke Bryan, could you perform for me at my party? They'll say, oh, but he's too busy. It probably won't happen. And that's not me. I'll be the one to actually ask Luke Bryan. Is he probably going to say no? Yeah. But can I say I tried and that means more to me? Yes. I'm the type of person who'd rather try than not know, because you really don't know. Is it a high likely no? Yes. But is it an indefinite no? No, because you didn't ask. I asked Kane, and I didn't think he would come on with his duties as mayor, yet he took time for me.
Yeah, the saying says we have not because we ask not, right? So, Sam, how do you measure the impact of your podcast on the autism community and beyond?
Well, I measure the impact if someone listens. I mean, I received mail from thank you for what you do. I received a testimonials from my last speaking engagement of I was really impressed with what you did. Your comparisons were great on your presentation. And then I learned that the host said the audience was impressed from my presentation last night. Last night's presentation I did was about a video game called Red Dead Redemption, and I compared the characters to the autism spectrum.
Man, it's awesome because here's the thing that I really, really enjoy about my podcast. Get feedback from people saying, "Hey, how much you changed their life, or how much they've learned from you, or how much you helped them." That really keeps me going at the end of the day, and I'm pretty sure that's what keeps you going too.
Yes, sir. It's definitely what keeps me going. But it's also personal fulfillment. I think it's a win-win for me.
Oh, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's definitely a personal fulfillment, like you said. So, Sam, what are your plans for the future of the Autism Rocks and Roll podcast?
Well, we're hoping it can be a full-time job. I don't know if it will be. It always could be a side gig. But who knows? I mean, I'm taking this one day at a time because it could take me to anywhere. I mean, if I expect a lot, it couldn't happen. So I'm always very laid back with this podcast. I just have a certain schedule that I follow because I'm doing it. But what I do with the episodes and what you guys do with it after it comes out, up to you. I mean, did I think I was gonna get ever invited to speak? No, but that was up to them. Did I ever think we were gonna have a gala? No, but that was up to my board. So yes, I am the executive director, but I have people help me, A, and B, I take advice and sometimes go with things.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like it's going to be full time for you, man, because you're rolling and opportunities is presenting itself for you. And then one thing about you, you don't quit, man. You pursue, you go after it. So you got that kind of mindset that really gets you a lot further.
Yeah,
And
and I've gotten to meet a lot of just great people in general. I mean, they weren't on my show. I just had the privilege of meeting them. I met Jimmy Hart. I met the Boogeyman from wrestling. Yes, and I find that hilarious some days. I've had the honor of just being around amazing people as well. I mean, I've had the privilege of co-hosting a panel, which I never thought would have happened, making 2 PSA videos, hosting a Q&A anxiety session, winning a Davy Award for episodes, winning awards in general. I mean, it's all great things and a lot of great support. And I met a lot of friends through this podcasting community. That's something else good with this community. It's not like, as I call it, certain competition. Some industries, it's competitive. With podcasting, it's not really. When you're a local guy like me and you have a local guy up in Washington, the state, instead of trying, let's get more downloads, let's try to battle to it. No, it's here's what you can do, man, to get to where I was, or this is what I would do, buddy. Let's help each other out. That's also why I like this community. It's a helping world, not a flashing world.
exactly, yeah, it's all about and that's what people get it wrong at, but it's all about networking and coming together and helping one another at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's why I like to collaborate too. We're doing something good for each other. This interview is good for both of us. I'm promoting my stuff. You're also going to have an episode out involving me. So it works out great.
Exactly. It works out perfect. Oh man. So Sam, you got any upcoming projects or episodes you're particularly excited about?
Well, season 3 is going to start back up in the summer. I have my gala, which is next Sunday on April 28th. We'll be having a silent auction, food, a wine wall. It'll be a blast. And then maybe in Bloomington, highly likely, we'll be having a summer concert at the Bluebird. But that is a question mark. I'm not for sure about that. Just saying.
Okay.
And
So
then
you
I
got
do
some
have some online speaking gigs coming up in May. One's called the Breakthrough Summit, and then the other is a Lasting Legacy Conference. But that conference is a question mark.
okay. Well, you got some things in motion. I'll tell you that. So Sam, I saw this quote on your show. It says, people on the spectrum are not broken and do not need to be fixed. Those who have these conditions should not be pitied. There is nothing to be sorry about. Can you
That's my
explain
mission
that quote?
statement.
I'm sorry.
I say you said it's a poem. That's my mission statement, buddy.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, hey, good job reading the mission statement because sometimes I'll stammer it.
So can you explain that to me, the mission statement?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is explain that there are some people in this world that you would look at, like myself, when you talk to me, or you look at certain people, you think they're broken. No, that's not true. Have you chatted with them yet? First of all, A. B, they're just different. That doesn't mean they're dangerous.
Oh, I got it. And that says a lot too. I really like that mission statement. You started your nonprofit in 2021 called Autism Rocks and Rolls Corporation. Can you
Yeah,
tell us
that
a
was
little bit about
2020. It
that?
was when COVID hit. So it was definitely harder to start that, but we definitely got it rolling.
And what was its mission and advocacy?
The mission advocacy is through events and the speaking engagements. That's what we mainly do. But also, I would say that some of my collaborative work is through the nonprofit. Some of the check presentations I've done is through the nonprofit. The anxiety session I did, I would say that's through the nonprofit, but also collaborative work. But in my mind, a nonprofit thing, not a podcast thing.
Got you. Got you. And with regard to your motivational speaking, you just spoke at an International Autism Summit a few days ago, and you have
Yesterday, I watched some friends of mine doing theirs on Friday, and then Saturday I did speak on the topic Red Dead Redemption, but it was great. I wish I could show you the recording, but I think sometimes it gets a little lost in translation. And I did it because I just know the owner slash host real well. It was at 7:20, and some of the characters were just comparing them to autism. But like I said, the audience apparently loved it. As far as I knew, I think they're being genuine and there was no lying about it.
That's great. That's great. So, Sam, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start a podcast focused on raising awareness and understanding autism?
Well, I think starting a podcast in general is the first idea. I mean, sometimes it's very hard to do because I know, but picking a great topic. I think autism, from my personal perspective, was a great topic. Now, one of my friends up in Florida had a client who wanted to start a podcast, but he didn't know how or what to begin with. He suggested politics. I thought, ooh, that's a good one. There's a lot of political podcasts out there. So I think picking a topic that you can go on and on and on about. Make sure you can keep writing the chapter in a book. Don't ever close it completely. Right now I'm on a hiatus, so I did close chapter 2, but here in next summer I'm going to start another chapter.
And I like when you said that, basically you start something. If you want to start a podcast, you basically got to start on something you're passionate about. I think you'd be more dangerous that way if you take it from the heart and not try to be like everybody else and what's hot and what's new at the time and things like that. If you be your own authentic self, I think it'll take you to the next level when you're trying to do something like a podcast. So, Sam, lastly, what advice can you give to parents who have children that have autism and to children growing up with autism?
I would say for parents, you got to hang in there and don't ever give up on your child. That's the worst you can do. If you do, they're not going to make it. I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, we have to be in it together. I mean, you have to step up. You have to step up. There's no other easy way to say it. You have to literally pull up your pants and go for it. Because if you don't, it's going to contribute to their success. Probably part of the reason why I am successful is because I had a loving and great family.
And I believe that. I really believe that. That's the root of it right there. And what can you say with somebody like a child that's growing up with autism?
Now, for the other person, I mean, it's hang in there. You're probably not going to be understood all the time. There are days I'm not understood. Even with my friends that I have, they still don't get me 100%. But you know what? They at least appreciate me enough that I'm in their presence. And for me, that's enough. And finding your tribe is exhausting, but you will do it. I'm just found mine a little bit a while ago at podcasting when I was 16, and it's a new feel I'm getting used to. But before I had literally one friend. Now I have a business friend. I have personal friends. I still have my school friends that I keep. So do I feel comfortable now that I have a tribe and some people might go to my funeral? And I say might because I have trust issues. Yes. But did I believe that when I was 13? No way, Jose.
There you have it. There you have it. Sam Mitchell. Sam, I'm so excited that you stopped by to join me for a minute. So how can people listen to your podcast or donate to your nonprofit and follow your journey?
Donation, we have Venmo and PayPal, and that's probably on the website, autismrocksandrolls.com. As far as podcasts, you can find me on your favorite media platform. I'm not a hard guy to find. If you Google me, something will pop up.
All right, there you have it. Sam, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Well, not a problem, buddy. Had a great time. And like listeners, I'm always talking to anyone. You want to collaborate or want to chat and drop in and say, hey, I'm opening to do that too.
Okay, Sam, I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in to Real Talk with Reginald D. If you enjoyed the show, please share with anyone you feel that need to take this journey with us on being a better you. See you next time.